fabulous lot, it's Gran here with another episode of Vintage Story on the Rusty Gears server. And my big build, Winterfell. Now then, I know, I haven't shown you how I built the Great Hall yet, and I promised at the end of episode 34 it would be in the next video. Well, as you know, episode 35 was the Devastation adventure with Sid and Solstin, and episode 36 was the trip we took to St. Tobias's Cave. All good stuff, I might add. I might also add that we had a very exciting event recently when Tyron and Sarate had a tour of the server. I wasn't able to be here for the tour, unfortunately. I had family stuff to attend to. But there will be videos coming out soon by many of the gears, and I for one will be watching. I think there's already a couple of streams out there. And if you caught any of those streams on the day, you will already know that the Great Hall is already built. It's just that I'm just a tad behind on my editing. I also forgot about all the work I did on the walls and the towers. And I'm talking about working on the diagonal. And I really want to show you the process of that, and it was a process. It was quite difficult actually. But now that I've done one, I can use the trusty old pantograph to do the rest. So there will be more diagonal walls in my future. So this week it's about walls and diagonals and towers. And next week I shall be showing you how I built the Great Hall. I must also add that over the next month or so, my videos will be quite a bit shorter as I try and fit loads of stuff in and try and catch up before the end of the summer so I can get back on track. So, without further ado, let me show you what I've been up to. So, if you remember at the end of episode 34, I'd just finished explaining my plan of Winterfell, and this is it. It's quite extensive and we've got quite a tight timeline because we really didn't get going till later in the season because of delays and because of, you know, the new update, which isn't new now, obviously. We're all waiting for the next update. And I've done a lot since then, which included getting rid of all the little ponds on the build site. I could really have done with all this gravel, but there are a lot of ponds on the server that I could dig out the gravel when I really want to. I also extended the shoreline where the diagonal walls were going to come, well, quite close to the lake. And that wouldn't have been very good for the foundations. So I actually dug out the sand and replaced it with dirt, which was a better foundation. Only just though. But yeah, I filled that with dirt so that I could bring out the diagonal wall on this northern side as far to the lake as possible without fearing it would sink. And I think I did alright with that. There were a couple of other areas that I just wanted to bring out a little bit further on from where the tower was going to go. So I tackled that as well, and I think that was okay in the end. Because all this shoreline around this lake, well, it's not a shoreline if it's a lake, is it? But you know what I mean. It had bits of dirt and bits of sand. So I didn't think it looked that much out of place. I was quite happy with that. I wasn't going to do any more with that. I didn't want to go any further into the lake. So the first thing I needed to do was to tackle one of the towers. And I wanted these smaller towers that would be spaced out along the wall to be round. So out came the plots modeler and out came my chisel. And I was a bit disappointed that the circle actually went into the very corner of another block that I had to put on the inside. But I made the quarter circle, as you do, and I chiselled away. And I did that out of packed dirt, which is really good for templates because you're not going to throw it away once you've got your template. Although now we've got the portfolio in the pantograph, I don't even need to keep it, do I? I just have it in the portfolio. There we go. So that was the quarter. I next needed to lay the blocks that I was going to use for the towers, and the bottom two blocks, like the walls, were going to be these cracked granite ashlar blocks, just to be consistent with the rest of the wall. And then the pantograph got to work, or I got to work with the pantograph. I do like the challenge of working with circles. I do like circles in Vintage Story because you can get them so detailed. They're not blocky like in, well, other block games, you know. And with the trusty wedge, it was easy to extend that quarter circle all the way around to a full circle. Nice. The walls of all the towers, like the wall, was going to be cobblestone. So then it was just a matter of building up the sides and using the pantograph to continue the circle for the whole length of the tower. I started with a whole circle, but I didn't really have to do that. Especially when there was a straight wall attached to it, I could just leave one of the blocks unchanged. The diagonal walls, though, the joins with those might be a little bit different. I used cobble and gravel for the bottom of the towers. That was fairly well in line with the town square. And I think that looked okay. Now, I did have a little bit of a debate with myself about what the stairs would be made out of, and I started off with cobblestone. I also started off chiselling them. And then I thought that might be an awful lot of work if I had to chisel all these in the towers, because pantographing them might be a bit difficult because the stairs in a tower connected to the straight wall and the stairs in a tower connected to a diagonal wall would be very different. So I kept that in mind while I actually built the tower, because I needed to do that first before I could put a full set of stairs in them. I would also have to resolve the corners as well, which were not corners now, they were curves, but the inside was still, well, I thought of them as corners. And they did do quite well when you walked up them. You walked up them quite smoothly, which I quite liked as well. And as you know, I've done spiral staircases before, but not like these, chunky and basic. I think the finished article looked really, really nice. I quite like that. There were still quite a few bits to add, but we'd add those later, because like the roof, I had no idea what I was going to do with that. I thought these towers needed to be a little bit higher than the square towers that were on either side of the main gate. That seemed to be a good height to me. And most of this build is going to be by eye. I shall stand back and look, and if it looks okay, then all well and good. But if not, it'll come down and I shall do something different. Now, I had a little thought whilst I was working on the towers that maybe I should plant some seeds for the trees that are going to be in the Godswood, because when I came to it, they would all be grown and I wouldn't have to wait for them. So I decided to take a little break and do some planting, which was a little bit more difficult than I thought actually, because the colour of the seeds when you planted them are very much like the colour of a lot of this ground here, which I'm going to leave more or less as it is. There are a lot of mushrooms in here and I think that's quite appropriate. And the description of the Godwood floor is very similar to this. Compact dirt with sort of a mossy covering. So I thought this area looked quite like it should. I just needed to add the trees back in. I love the mushrooms. I could have collected all these mushrooms actually and ate them all over the seasons that I've been here. But I didn't. But I quite like them. So in most places I could see what I was doing, and other places I really couldn't. And when I came back a few days later and some of the seeds had grown into little saplings, I could see where I'd missed lots out, and there was a lot missed out. So I set to with the rest of the stacks of seed that I'd got in my inventory and just planted a few more. I tried to keep away from the wall and left an area of space so that I could build a wall without having the trees interfere with that. I could fill that in a little bit later. But for now, I was quite happy with that. And we'll talk more about the Godswood when I'm actually working in it, because there is quite a tale to tell. There's quite a lot of information available about the Godswood, and it's quite interesting, so I'll let you in on that when I'm working on it. I did have quite a few of these ruins to get rid of as well. They're only little ones, but I couldn't use the blocks because they were chiselled with all sorts of different rocks in them, so they were wasted. Well, back to the staircase, I decided that I didn't like the cobble in the end, so it was coming out. I felt there was just a little bit too much cobble. So I thought about the polished slabs, and quite surprisingly, they were so easy to put in as a staircase. I was quite glad that I changed from the cobble. Once I got the spacing right, that one was too high. I needed to take that down a bit so I could fit in the corner stair. And when I figured that out, they just went in really, really well. And I quite liked the look of them as well. I also thought it'd be quite an ordered staircase because all these slabs were the same and I put them in the same manner. So I was quite looking forward to the finished article, seeing what it looked like. And obviously I have to do a little bit of chiselling in the corners. But it was quite smooth to go up, and all I needed to adjust were the bits in the corner. So I tackled that quite easily, really. In fact, it could have been even easier had I thought about using my plane before I did. And so I chose to start at the bottom to get these two ashlar layers out of the way, because I wouldn't be able to use the pantograph further up then, as the base block further up was obviously cobble. So I would have to do this little process over again on one of the cobble base blocks, and then I could use my pantograph all the way up then. And that looked really cool. I really liked the look of that. And it didn't take me very long to get to the top. And just add in the polished granite slabs. I could use the pantograph just to slot that in. I could even have made that easier for myself by having the polished granite slabs in the first slot in my inventory instead of my pick, and then using the pantograph on add materials, and I could have done that much quicker. But I didn't think of it at this point. I thought about it later, as you do. Or should I say, as I do. So those were the stairs, and those would go in each of the towers like this. I was quite chuffed with how easy those went in. Next we needed to work on the actual diagonal wall itself, and I never thought about it, but they take up twice as many blocks, because you've got one side of the diagonal and then you've got the other. Not good at all, because cobble already takes up a lot of materials. It really, really does. And then to have to double it for a diagonal tower. Oh dear. But I persisted. I wanted diagonal in the first place, so I was going to persist until I'd done them. So chiselling wasn't too bad, because the walls were going to be straight up all the way up to the top, until, of course, I got to the battlements. Those would be the real challenges. But until I got to those, I could just enjoy doing a bit of pantographing and getting my walls in place. And once I'd done the outside, I just needed to turn one of the blocks around and pantograph the inside as well. This was quite relaxing. I quite liked doing jobs like this and seeing things come together quite quickly. So once I'd got the bottom layer done, it didn't take long to get the rest done. I did have to make adjustments where the tower met the wall. On this occasion, it was only a small adjustment. But when we got to the battlements on top, you'll see that the adjustments were quite substantial. That looked quite neat. I quite liked the look of that. So having gathered quite a considerable amount of granite with the quarry mod, and quite a considerable amount of clay, which I had help in the past from Punk and Sid, I'm glad to say, I could make a fair amount of cobblestone. And that was 1/2 of the wall done. And then had to do the inside of the wall. But I do wish I'd stopped finding things that I thought I'd done that I hadn't. Here was a bit on the straight wall that hadn't resolved in the corner. These could be quite tricky to get them right. I kept losing my sense of perspective on these. But I got it in the end. It just took a little bit of time sometimes. And as I was resolving these end bits, I was hoping that they would transfer over to the other towers and the other joins quite easily, but I didn't really know whether they would or not. Next time I was on, I was preparing to do the battlements on top of the wall. So that included the little bits and bats like the merlon and the crenels, the arrow slits, the corbels, the matriculations, or the murder holes, as they're otherwise called. After a bit of deliberation, I decided I start at the top, and I kept comparing them to the straight walls. I found that placing markers helped quite a lot. These are a few of my ramblings as I was trying to get myself into this. So I keep losing track of where I am. I'll put that there. Okay, so if that is there, that, not that. So that is that one there. So that is this one. So with this one, how far down did we go with this? Because this would be in the middle, wouldn't it? So from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down. 6, 7. So we're talking about through there. Where the heck have I not done this yet? Oh, I chose the wrong one, didn't I, for that? Because that's going into the wall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we go in there. There. So that's that one. And we want that all the way down. Right. I did get 1 or 2 surprises. I just pantographed that, and it turned into the length of a full block. I was a bit confused. Let's have a look. Oh, now we have... Oh yeah, we're bound to have holes in, aren't we? Okay. I think I'm going to have to change these outside edges to something like maybe these. Can I do that? There we go. Pop that in there. Yeah. am I doing here? Let's have a look at that. Yeah, you can see that now, can't you? That is much better. What's this? That looks too dark to be right. I wonder if I should do 2, actually. I think I will. And then I got to the stage where I could let the pantograph work. Do this one. And then do all the other ones on the other side of these. That is not opening up. Oh, that's on that one. I think it... Oh, yeah. Then it's this one. Yeah. Next one is this one. Like that. I really think these need to be bigger. I'm going to chisel more out. I'm going to chisel more out of there as well. Okay. Which will be this one, I think. Yes. Right, let's see if I can see. If I turn myself around. Now then, I think that might need to be a little bit further down, I think. So I made a few adjustments and I was quite happy with the way that was looking. So I could transfer that across as well. Making the matriculations were always going to be a little bit awkward on the diagonal because it wouldn't be clean cut. So we'd have to put up with that. But it made me think then about what I'd done on the straight side with these. And I did think that they could be a little bit bigger. And also made me wonder if I could extend the corbels, which are the things that support the matriculations, whether I could extend those down. And then, when I'd done that, I had another thought of what would that look like if they were just in granite. And I was so glad I tried that out because they made that look so much better. And of course, I had to do them on the diagonal, which were much more complicated. But we got there in the end. And then on one of my inspections, I suddenly realised that I hadn't put any arrow slits in the gate towers. It's going to bug me like nobody's business. That needs some things across there, which I would be able to put in if I'd put them on the right place at the right time. I would totally have to change the whole of the inside because the stairs were on the wrong side. I decided to cheer myself up with a bit of treasure hunting. Ooh, there it is. What we got? That's it. Black bronze saw. Okay. Black. They're very different from each other, these, aren't they? Let's get rid of it. Have to dig around for it a bit. Oh no. There it is. Oh, a rosary. And 2 cylinders. And a little thingy. Oh, that wasn't too bad, was it? And go down here. Oh, there it is. What we got this time? A Jonas piece and a spear. Quite different things, aren't they? So I got back to make the changes in the towers. Did put the stairs up here, didn't I? I did. Those are up there. With that. Bring that down. That's okay. Lovely jubilee. Let's go out and have a look and see what it looks like. It's looking pretty good if you ask me. Yes, that makes all the difference, doesn't it? Like they're here to fight, you know? That makes all the difference. I like that. I like that a lot. Oh, that's not good, is it? That is not good at all. They're on different levels. That's ridiculous. How did I manage to do that? That is ridiculous. That goes down there. And this goes down there. And this goes in there. So that goes down there. And this goes in there. Is that right? We just need that out there, don't we? Let's have a look. Don't need those in there. There we go. Right, should we? Ooh, let me get me bed out. Here, look. Here we go. Right, let's have another go at this. We need one of these over here, I think. I'm going to put one in front of the windows, actually. I'm going to put one there. I'm going to put one there. And then... Hey up. Ooh, I don't like the sound of that. Whoa, it's down here. Whoa. That's not very good, is it? We'll have to go and get him. We'll have to go and get him, won't we? I'll be right. Let's go get him then. Hope it's not one of those really, really awful ones. Here. Where is he? Where is it? Horrid thing. That doesn't look too nice. That doesn't look too nice at all. Oops, didn't mean to do that one. Oh, these things. Oh, he's still moving about. Is he dead? Have another look and see that we've done it right this time. Oh dear. Right, let's have a look. That's better. Look. They're on the same level now. Don't ask me why I got it up there. I have no idea whatsoever. None at all. Oh, it looks like there's been another delivery. I guess I know who this is from. From Sid. That is awesome. That looks like... No, it's granite. It looks a bit like andesite at the front there. That is awesome. If you knew how much granite I needed for this build. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate every single contribution. That is awesome. But that's about all I can fit in for this episode. I'm sorry it's so short, but the next episode definitely will be the Great Hall and how I built that. So I'm going to put this away and probably make some more cobblestone. So take care everybody, and I'll see ya in the next episode. Bye bye.